So, welcome, Andy, Russ, people on the exam board who want to see the evidence of what I did. This is my evidence for my animation. I can't remember what unit it was made for. 3.32.3 or something like that. 31 point something. It's an animation. This is what I've made. It starts like this, an animation for the starting of Colombian Radio News Network, CCNN. Specifically the introduction animation. So this is what people would watch before you get onto the actual anchors and presenters. First things first, the way I did this was I selected multiple keyframes at first. Here it messed up, but I went by a 3-2 frame basis. So instead of animating on 3s and animating on 2s, I animated on both 3s and 2s, which gave it a nice speed effect whilst also giving it a jittery effect. Something that made it not seem too fast, not too slow, not too smooth, but not too rugged. I quite liked this effect. It continues on like this while this camera here zooms out, essentially making it smaller. Overall, it looks like this. I kept deleting and creating and deleting these lines like this. As soon as that goes, it goes like this. This is probably the part that took me the longest. And so originally, before I used animating on 3s and 2s, I tried to use tweening, which, although works in many other places, it didn't here, as it just kept making it reverse, thinking that instead of this being deleted and this one being the same, it thinks it went back a step, which could be really, really annoying, considering I'm trying to make it a certain effect. Once it gets to the 204th frame, this final one starts moving to become straight, before shrinking down and becoming into full view of the watcher, and then tilts that one way to give an impression of it pulling back for force before it chucks itself off screen. Now, the next frame after that, I've made it so it goes from one corner to the other and one corner to the other, like shown on my storyboard. This is also similar to the storyboard, however it is a bit faster. I made sure, using trickery of layers, to make it look like the square has turned into the sphere, gone out of the sphere, turned into the rectangle, gone out of the rectangle, and turned into the square, and gone out of the square. In reality, this, if I just turn these off, I turned off the wrong thing somewhere. I want to just turn these off. Yeah. In reality, if I turn these off, this is what's happening. But with the inclusion of the ones above this layer, it looks like transformation, which I think is very cool. Afterwards, the background changes to a ball, because this is the layer called background. So this was the lines previously. I don't know why I named it background. Maybe it's because it was pre-named that, but it was easier to keep it as the background. Either way, afterward it starts to do this ball maneuver, and when the balls reach the square and the circle, they move away. As you can see, it starts here. They move away, and when they reach the rectangle, it starts breaking away. However, usually you can't just rip one of these in half. What I did was I added a little white line, which then I can use if I cut it in half, to which I then pulled it apart. This then will move, these will just move, giving the effect of motion before one of them falls out of this one. As you see, it starts falling, 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 falling. I swear. Until it hits the bottom, to which if I remove the image of the background, it does one of the principles of animation, squash and stretch. Goes back up, that looks like an actual bounce. And then another time the principle of animation is shown squash and stretch. It's because when it gets hit by this one, boom, it's just gets launched. And because that's an angle, I made it go like that and squeeze. And then once again, it stretches once it's hit and squishes before flying over that direction and becoming a big circle. As the background fades out, a square will come from behind it. It looks like it's transformed into a square. In reality though, I just made a tiny square and it made it bigger to give the effect that it's transformed. Next, it moves around before squashing and stretching to give the feel like it's being, well, squashed and stretched, like it's being pressed one way and the other before rotating constantly. It does a full 360 before expanding and enveloping the screen. Now here I've left a pause because in the final of this, where I do when I do Premiere Pro and edit it, this is going to be seen as if it's a glitch. So it's going to rewind. I spent a lot of time with this rewind. This is where the rewind starts, where this buffer is because it messed up. And it does literally the same thing all the way to the start. Just reversed. As you can see. Including the camera itself as well there. Before it then starts again. Once again, it's going to go past real fast, doing all the same things apart from once it hits 360. If I move this around. Once this hits 360, it will expand and then change color to the Cardigan blue before expanding a little bit and text flying in from the top right, and then increases and shrinks. Now I have to be very straightforward about this. A lot of this was removed from the storyboard. This is where I first had to start removing myself from the storyboard because I found out it was really hard to make a triangle where this is meant to be a triangle in this front. So I made it a rectangle. Next was this bit that wasn't initially in the, I can't remember if it was initially in the storyboard. From what I remember it was meant to be, but the whole bouncing around the screen bit wasn't. It transforming into a square, I think, was something new. Oh no, yeah, it wasn't. It was meant to then become a square and then stretch out. But instead, to increase runtime because animation takes a long time, especially a 1 minute animation, I had to do this rotating thing before increasing. Now initially this is where the final bit was going to be, but again, to be able to actually succeed the project, since a 1 to 2 minute intro animation is actually quite a long intro animation, I had to improvise. Thankfully, I brainstorming with some friends, I was given the idea to rewind it, which I thought was pretty neat. So off it goes, rewinding as shown. And then it does everything again. Okay, sorry. Until we get to this bit, where this was also meant to be, this was in the storyboard, mostly. And the initial storyboard it would rotate until it got too big and it just filled the screen. However, that would have taken too much time and I have a deadline. So I made it rotate. And once it did, I think that's 80 degrees. I don't know math. It shrinks down and squashes. And well, that's it. Next part, I'm going to be showing you the editing. So, see you then. Hello. Now, at this point, I had taken the file into Premiere Pro, as you can see here. What I did first was I located, let me just mute these so it's less annoying. What I had done first was locate the part of the first section of the animation where it turns orange around here. I then implemented some graphics, specifically a stop graphic, and afterwards I implemented some rewind graphics. But before that, I had implemented a sound that makes it sound like I have created a sort of record scratch to show. Here. There you go. And afterwards, it would rewind the music that had previously been playing. All the while, these symbols, these rewind symbols, would show every once in a while before it resumed at normal speed. How I did this was first, well, I went into my pictures and my others folder where I hold many pictures, including a Discord icon for if a Discord thing happens, or these, which can't be seen properly right now, but that's because a black background means the image is transparent, meaning there isn't a white box around it. And since these are notably black anyway, it means that it's hard to see here. Nevertheless, once it's placed inside, once it's placed on, I can drag it in as so, and use it as much as I want. With the music, I went onto a website and I took the music from a website that allowed music to be taken with any type of copyright. I specifically chose free use / public domain, so I do not have to attribute money, or I don't have to attribute anything in descriptions. Because this is to be used in a non-commercial project for school. Meaning, if it were to be put anywhere else, it's best to have something that's free use. The sound effect is similar. It's free use. This music here is just this music, however shortened and put in reverse. Then I had gotten a clip of TV static, as I will show here. I got this clip of first showing static and then a flash to turn off. I cut out a section of it from here to there to then create the feeling that as soon as the Kirdigan sign squashed down as so, it turned off as so. I then recorded a voice line that I made of my voice, of me pretending to be an old man saying, "What a load of rubbish," to give the implication that it had just been watched by someone, and that someone was an old man explaining the old TV, and they weren't finding it very tasteful. In total, this is the animation at play. What a load of rubbish.
And there it is. That is the final part of making my animation. Afterwards, I went to File, Export Media. I selected the correct settings to allow it to have as good a quality as possible, both in audio and video. And I then click Export, which I'm not going to do right now, for it has already been exported. Well, that was it. Hopefully I get a good mark.